you're going to start to get some of that haze. So I do have a little bit of that in the forecast by next Wednesday.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. With the new year, people are making all kinds of commitments to refocus and get things back on track. That includes taking stock of your financial life.
All right, here to talk about No Spend January is our financial guru, Jenny Groberg of Booksmarts, Accounting and Bookkeeping. Jenny, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thanks for having me.
No Spend January. How did this come about?
It's a big thing. It's like a social media thing. Don't spend anything in January. Everyone is recovering from Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, so this last weekend, I had a friend approach me and say, Jenny, I need help with a budget. Will you help me? And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? I already take care of your business accounting. And he said, no, personally. and he said, I'll pay you. And I'm like, okay, tell me what this looks like. You're a successful attorney. You've got a side hustle. And he said, well, it's unforeseen things. Like my dog gets into rat poison and I have a $1,000 vet bill.
Okay.
And I'm driving through Donner Pass and my tires are too bald and I have to buy new tires. Or now I have to pay off Christmas. And he said there's just always something that's preventing me from really making some traction with my budget.
Unplanned stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's looking at his wife like, right? Like you're on board, right? So
Okay, so what is No Spend January then?
so let's talk about the pros and cons about that, because I proposed that and he said he would definitely try it. So the pros of No Spend January.
We have them on your screen right now.
Okay, so it encourages savings, builds financial awareness, promotes better spending habits, boosts creativity. You know, you're going to look for a lot of ways to do free or cheap activities, and it encourages declutter and minimalism. So there are a lot of reasons why it's beneficial to do it. It helps you just to focus. You know, if you're not spending any money on ancillary stuff and you have a lot of that discretionary income and you can throw it towards your credit card bills from Christmas, get those tackled and taken care of. If you don't have a lot of debt from Christmas, throw it towards your savings and build up your savings a bit. But it's just a way to help you kind of focus, reestablish some financial patterns that will hopefully last in the coming months. Because December was a free-for-all.
Yeah,
you know,
it is kind
it's
of
a spending free-for-all.
But you're saying there may be some cons as well.
Yes,
so
there-
let's talk about some of the cons of
Let's
No
talk
Spend
about those.
January.
Okay, so you're gonna have some social challenges. You might be at work and everyone's saying, let's go to lunch or let's go to dinner. You might have family that says, hey, buy tickets to this, and that's gonna be difficult to say no. There might be some unrealistic restrictions, and that might include, you know, I don't want to feel that restricted, and sometimes if you're so restricted, you go off the rails in the coming months, right? So it has to be realistic. Someone might have limited flexibility in their budget. Their income might be all over the board. It might be, you know, higher pay or lower pay or very variable. So that might, you know, inhibit you from being able to do this. And it just might not be for everyone. But it is kind of a big trend, and it's a fun game. If you want to try to do it and see if you can make some traction, I think it would be beneficial.
Would you do that yourself?
Yes, I'm absolutely going to do it. I'm going to do it with my friend. I told him, okay, the first thing I want you to do is get rid of your credit cards on your Apple Pay, because that makes it really easy to spend, and add your debit card. Call your bank, because I know he doesn't have a debit card, and get a debit card issued right away. So that's the first step. Now, in terms,
why the debit card?
because you're going to spend 80% less if you use a debit card than a credit card.
Credit card.
And the easier you make it to spend, the easier businesses make it to spend, the more they capture that emotional spending behavior.
Okay.
Which again is 80% of spending is the habit or the behavior.
Let's look at some of these tips for success as you go through some of these, because, okay, if someone's going to try this, what are you advising people to do?
Okay, so the first thing would be get together with your spouse, your partner, or your family and define what no spend means. To one person, it might be, we're not spending $1. We're gonna live off our food storage. Yeah, that's not what I'm gonna do. Okay. For me, no spend January means I'm not gonna buy extra shoes or clothes. I'm not gonna spend money on dates or going out to eat unless I have gift cards shoved in my drawer, unless, you know, somebody else has, you know, a way around that. But that would be the first thing, okay, is that you're gonna use, you know, whatever you have. So you make a plan, and I would let everybody know what your plan is. The second thing, I think it's really important to track your spending. So download maybe 2 or 3 months of credit card statements or bank statements into Excel, or just review them. Look at what you're spending, what days and what times of the day. If you can do that, then you can really see what your behavior is telling you. So maybe every Tuesday or Wednesday night, you're always going out to dinner.
Got it.
And it's because you might have kids' games, or maybe you work late, or maybe you have a school class that night or something. So if you can identify, I go off my budget because I'm overspending, I'm eating out, what's happening that night, and you make a plan ahead of time. So maybe that means you're making a freezer meal, or you're doing a crock pot meal the day before. So that would help. The second thing is maybe as you're reviewing the data tells you when you drop your kids off at carpool, you swing by Starbucks and get a drink.
Yeah.
Okay, that adds up. That's $5-6 a trip, right? So if you can identify that, drive a different route, or pack your caffeine in your car with you so that you're not tempted. Sometimes it's the tradition, it's that behavior,
Yeah, your habits.
the established behavior that's driving the spend.
Okay, so the final takeaway here.
Because we're running out of time here. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
the final takeaway for
Final
people?
takeaway is this is about progress, not perfection.
Okay.
You can even get 80% of the way, that's great, right? This is about just trying to reestablish spending habits for the coming months and making sure that you're staying on budget.
Where can people go to find you and all of your killer advice?
Yeah, booksmartspro.com. We have some personal finance downloads. There's some additional information. Or I'm on LinkedIn at Jenny Groberg.
Like we said, Ron does this 12 months a year. So.
Yeah. It's gonna be No Spend 2025.
We'll
this
interview
year.
you next time,
Okay.
Ron.
Thank you for coming in, Jenny.
Thanks for having
we
me.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, so